There we go. Boom.
Bam. Here we are.
We don't need a third time.
No, we don't need a third time. Cheers, everybody.
Though I do like that video.
It is a good one.
It's a little more chill than the last couple.
Yeah, they get intense sometimes. With this one, it's got the nice
mellow
melodic beat there. Get all the crowd sounds and all the
we're really getting
the cage clips.
Yeah, we really got to start coining your Plymouth Mass. Let me hear you. I feel like we use that for every video now. That's just like key to the fights.
Hey, that's it's time.
It's time.
Let them hear you. That's what they're for.
Then you got to give them the let's go, right?
Yeah. Let's go.
You do let's go every time?
Yeah, I think so. We'll coin it. It took a while for its time to really develop into what it was. It was always
still did a jump.
Little changes.
Retired the back bend though.
It might come back. We'll see. I'm getting older, but I got to get back into hot yoga if I'm going to be doing that more
back
often. That was aggressive. I'm overnight just 30.
Yeah.
It's retired. I'm going to blow ACL in the.
You know what you could do?
If I continue doing that.
What you could probably do
done, I think.
is do it like the Bruce Buffer on the big shows. Like we're at Cage Titan 62, maybe bust it out at 75, or maybe bust it out at 100.
100, I don't know if I'll be able to deny. I might be way older at that point.
Yeah, for sure. But anywho, it is Cage Titan 62. We're less than 2 weeks away. So we got a big card. Last week we announced the whole card. Sorry, guys, I've been slacking. I have not updated the website yet. I will do that tomorrow, I promise. So the entire fight card will be updated on the website tomorrow. I believe Tapology has it already. I believe MMA.tv, the MMA registry, has it up as well already. But our website, I've been a little slacking, so I have to get that up on the website.
Oh, it's a lot of fights. A lot of things to update.
A lot of good ones. Hey, we announced I think we talked about, did we talk about Rick Hahn and Leon Davis last week?
Did.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, we did.
I know we talked about it.
We broke down every single one of these matchups last week, 17 of them.
Sorry to Leon. Leon was bummed. I saw him post. He's like, oh, Rick Hahn gets a whole like highlight video as part of the fight announcement, and Leon got one little picture. Sorry. I think Nick felt that we've seen you grapple in our cage. We've seen you at events, so people would know who you are. And though Rick Hahn is an Olympic medalist and he's been fighting, he was Bellator champ, not many Cage Titans fans. I don't think he's ever even been to a Cage Titans event. So I think Nick just felt that the need was to kind of introduce who he was to our fans a little bit more than Leon, because we felt that Leon has had a presence at Cage Titans.
He's had a couple of the grappling matches already. He was part of the team match. If I'm not mistaken.
He was
part of that. So yeah, he's certainly familiar around.
Grappled Casey Lamont as well.
And been in the corner of so many guys at Track Force as well.
So sorry, Leon, if you're watching, or if word gets back to him, it was no disrespect meant. Sometimes, just we felt that the need was to kind of introduce, kind of like we do sometimes. I've heard Cage Titans fighters like, people that fought for us a lot. They're like, oh, my mom said you didn't really talk about my fight that much, in the build up. And it was like, well, listen, dude, you fought for us 12 times. Everybody knows who you are. So like, the people that are watching are your friends and family who know who you are. So it's not like they're coming for you no matter what. We got to sell the people on what they don't know about your opponent, because, as always, we try to tell the sides of both sides of the coin. So we've had that kind of a dig, but sometimes they knock us a little bit like, what about me? It's like, well, come on, man. Like, everybody know, like
flash forward over the past 8 years and how much you got early on, and this person's fighting for the first time at Cage.
Well, I mean, Cleveland McLean and Mitch Raposo. It's like Mitch has fought for us so many times. Everybody knows Mitch. So it's like, yeah, we'll talk about Mitch, but then we also got to kind of pump up Cleveland McLean, who's been Sports Center top 10, and which we posted, and he's getting out there doing some interviews. And it's like, because we want you as a fan of Mitch who's watching today you're already looking, you already know you're coming for Mitch. We want you to know why this is either a dangerous fight and a good fight that might even pique your interest a little bit more, or people who are on the cusp that know Mitch, but, might not either be a fan. They might kind of get intrigued by the matchup and bring them out. So there you go. There's my little soapbox of why, sometimes it might seem we go one way or the other. It's just more or less, when I look at a card, I know the Joe Giannettis and, Andrew Valdina's fans know, all the Cage Titans fans that are watching today know everything there is to know about those guys. So we try to tell you a little bit more about the other side. So
Yeah, especially if you've been fighting as an amateur coming up through the pro ranks as well.
Yeah.
Completely unbiased, completely nonpartisan when it comes to the promotion whatsoever. Just giving a fair shake there to getting introduced to this crowd, this atmosphere, especially if you're going to be the hometown favorite on fight night as well.
Yeah.
No, can't fault that whatsoever. But 13 years in the business, you're coming to the end of your 13th year right here, and we've been at it a year and a half right now. I was just reading the article you got upstairs of when we came back in 2021. It's really not that long ago, but it's that gap of no shows seemed like forever, and then.
So what do we've been back for what, 3 years?
Not even. It's 2023, year and a half. Back in the middle of 2021, so
2.5 years.
Yeah. All the way to mid 2022. Yeah, 2.5 years that we've been back. Not even 3 years now.
Too bad.
It's
when you think about that 2.5 years we've been back, why it's been big. Well, you think when we came back from COVID, we're at 48, and now we're at 62. So that's already 14 fights, 14 events. Plus we did a combat night, so we're at 15 events. Plus we did 2 double headers in that time. So that's technically 17 events in 2.5 years. And before COVID in our early days, we were on a clip of like 4 to 5 events a year. So, when you take that 2.5 years that we've been back since COVID, it's like, shit, we are full steam ahead. It's been tiresome.
Like we talked about all these fights last week. We're going to talk about each and every single one of them again next week. So try not to revert back to repeating the conversations that we've already had that we're going to have again as well. But you kind of set a goal for yourself this year. I remember flashback. I know we're not at the complete end of the year. We're going to get through this fight card, which I'm totally excited for. But
I'm not adding another show before the end of the year.
No, you made a goal though to get ahead and get behind the 8 ball a little bit more, to have a matchup or so made for the show upcoming.
Yeah.
And for my money, you did it. It happened. This is the first year where you were proactively promoting a fight card with a matchup or 2 already made at the pinnacle of it, a show in advance where we were able to pump it up. Like even the Mitch Raposo fight, we had it stocked and ready to pump up. Jerry Muse and Aaron Hughes squaring off at the last fight card. That was a high profile fight that we announced back when Ras Hilton called out Joshua Marsh, and that fight got set up a whole fight card in advance. Ras, when he fought Battles, was set up a whole fight card in advance. We had a whole year of this trajectory. And what is that? How does that lead you feeling going into 2024, going in the future after this one?
Yeah, it feels good. It feels good to kind of get a jump, because back in the day it was, you put everything into this card and you don't even think about the next one. We have our dates. Like we have our dates for next year, which I'll throw up maybe I'll throw them in the comments.
Could you text them to me? So.
Yeah, but we have all our dates for next year. But like back in the day, it used to be like all hands on deck for this card, and then just putting all the effort into this card, and not even when somebody's like, oh, let me match you in the January card, which is our next one after this. Then I'm like, yeah, I'm not even thinking about January. Like, don't even talk to me. But again, like you said, it was a goal of mine to kind of get a little bit ahead, of the game and make fights. So like right now, though this card's all set, I'm already starting to look at matchups for January. I actually already have a couple matchups for January. But so no, it makes it easier, and I think the fans are really reacting really well to it, because like you guys are able to get some sort of excitement when you leave Cage Titan 61. You were already probably looking forward to Muse and Hughes on 62. You're already looking forward to the flyweight title with Mitch Raposo. You kind of already knew that Jack Congdon was coming back, for this fight card. So you kind of knew some of the players that were going to be there. And then you kind of get surprised as you're already excited for those matchups we announced ahead of time. You're already starting to be like, then when the new ones start coming in, you're like, ooh, I was already excited for this card. I'm even more excited now. So that was a goal. Joe Leonard said over under on me adding shows this year, because that was my motto in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I only added 1 show this year, which was a doubleheader. So I did not hit the over under of 2. So the under 1. If you bet the under in how many shows, because if you remember the year before in 2022, I think we added a doubleheader. I think we added the July 4th card. We had at least 2 or 3 events
Yeah.
in 2022. So
We had 2 in February.
yep.
So we went only a couple weeks in between. Yeah, it was crazy on the up and up when we revamped after the.
Shout out to damn it, Andy. You said Hughes versus Muse is high profile. I spit my latte all over my screen. You should use that one at the next Scoops comedy night. Hughes versus Muse. I mean,
Great fight.
that's an amazing
I like
fight.
that fight.
You know,
Cheryl's gonna be kissing cheeks over that.
I mean, you got to think. You know, Jerry Muse is undefeated, 5-0. He was. I'm pretty sure he was undefeated as an amateur as well. His only non-win was a draw with Zach DiSabatino for the title. So, you know, I mean, that's pretty. I would call that a pretty high profile local fight, and a lot of people when we announced this fight were really looking forward to it. Chevy Pickup, what's up, Chevy? I don't think Captain America. I know Sid Yatong does their team training from 8 to 10 on Monday nights, so the timing just doesn't work out. But for those who want to see what Captain America has to say, easily just go over to our social media or his social media, and he's not scared to post. He has plenty of stuff up there. So he'll have plenty of time. Plus, we have the press conference next week, and he assured me that he's got some good stuff for us at the press conference. So that just gives you a reason to tune in.
What day is the press conference?
I'm tying into the press conference date. It's either going to be Wednesday or Thursday. I'm trying to accommodate Pat Casey because it's important. As you know, I'm not a believer in only having one side of the fight card and not the other.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working on Cleveland McLean, what day he's going to fly in. So Cleveland and Mitch will be there. I'm hoping that Pat's the one I'm having a little bit of trouble scheduling right now. And then obviously Hughes and Muse as the featured fight. So it's either going to be Wednesday or Thursday. So we'll see what happens there. Getting caught up. Frederick, I'm dying to see you get in the cage. Listen, I've always said, I'm 42 now. I always said I have one more in me. As I get older, the one more just gets farther and farther away. You know, my OCD, I always said, if you listen to me before, I was 3-0 as an amateur. I'm 2-0 as a pro. I got 2 submission victories, 2 decision, and only 1 knockout. So I want to go even 3-0 with 2 knockouts, 2 submissions, and 2 decisions. That's the OCD in me. I'm still not giving that up, but at 220 pounds right now, I'm far away from 145-pound fight weight of my past.
You wouldn't fight a heavyweight?
I would not fight a heavyweight. I think that'd be
What about
disrespectful. Nope, I think it'd be disrespectful.
What about middleweight?
Not middleweight.
No, you wouldn't.
No.
You wouldn't pull the Ken Flo.
If I can do 155, would probably be the highest. If I couldn't fight at 45 and 55, I would.
You wouldn't take a fight at 70.
Nah.
Come on.
Because I feel like it'd be disrespectful that I'm not. If I'm 170 fighting, that just means I'm not training fully. I'm not in the best shape of my life. Could I fight at 170 and maybe beat some guys? Absolutely.
But you can take a fight
nah,
on a weight loss journey.
Nope.
All right. If your weight loss journey is to get to 145, you might get there in 5 years. But you won't be at fighting age then.
I mean,
you might have to take one at a weight on the way down. Just take a little middleweight or welterweight fight and shit.
Listen, I'm not all in.
I was stuck. I plateaued at middleweight in my weight loss.
They're not here to hear about me fight.
I used to be the fat one of this group.
I know.
And I lost it all. And I plateaued a while at 185 pounds. You can do it at the plateau weight. I want to see you take a welterweight fight.
Nope.
You can do it.
Nope. That would mess up my whole thing because I fought at 45 and 55 my career. So I'm not going to.
Oh, now you'll be a 3-division.
Bottom line is, if I cannot find the time to train my ass off and get to my real fight weight, then it's just not meant to be. Not meant to be. Anyways.
Come on, 170. We can make this happen.
All right. Can't make this one, Steve Rita. I need another double header in hopes. Oh, man. Double headers. Everybody on the team made me promise I would not do a double header again. I would still do it. No. They told me no. Oh, man.
That's a unanimous nope.
I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'll just say last time I watched this, Hughes said a few things. Yeah, definitely. No. Chevy, I didn't think you said it in a bad way.
No.
I just think that Muse, they train at Sid Yatong on this night, so it's very tough to get those guys. And we've been doing the show 8 to 9. You know, back in the day, we'd have Slippery Pete on. We'd have to wait till 10 to get him to call in afterwards. Steve Reeder, I know the gloves are in, so maybe we'll connect with Andy and get these to us. Steve Reeder versus Mike Paul there. Come on, I would wreck Steve Reeder. He knows that.
Zach versus Andy.
Yeah, So pastrami picks, Justin Simmons. If you want to do pastrami picks, we can get that going again next week. And Kyle DeAndrade. Let's go. Kyle, who you here to see? Who are you looking forward to most on this upcoming fight card? Let me hear from you. So there you go. Anyways, listen, they want to hear us talk about of course Steve Reed said stop it. Steve Reed tried to wrist lock me. No, I'd rough him. I'd rough him up. He's too old for me.
That could be the fight.
Could
the
be
middleweight fight.
No.
You get you and Steve Reed in there at 185.
Kyle's looking forward to Mitch the most. Cool. Good to hear from you, Kyle. Anywho, so there was a big fight this weekend. I mean, I know we're here to talk about cage size, but what did you think of that Francis Ngannou-Tyson Fury fight?
Didn't watch it.
Didn't watch it.
Didn't watch it. Did not. I thought it was just one of those, didn't.
If anybody wants to call in and discuss with me, I would love to discuss and talk with you. So just put me in a comment and I'll throw you the link.
I can't give a full opinion on it, but it sounds like.
Did you watch any part of it? Highlights, anything?
I heard Fury got dropped.
Yeah, he got dropped.
He got clipped, but yeah, I can't really give a full synopsis.
Francis got robbed. I'm happy they got paid.
Yes, I'm happy they got paid.
I gotta say,
as far as I go with that,
I'm not a boxing fan, so I'm just gonna put that out there right out the gate. I'm not really a boxing fan. I don't watch boxing, so I'm just making that clear. If Tyson Fury though is the best that they have in the boxing world, that is sad because, listen, I've heard a couple people have had this conversation. They're like, no, that wasn't the Tyson Fury that's not the real Tyson Fury. Don't let that fool you. I'm like, this is the pinnacle of the sport of boxing. Tyson Fury, he looked like dog shit. He looked like it was like his first day out there. And, not in this, and I'm not trying to discredit Francis's performance, but it wasn't a great performance by Tyson Fury if that's what we're supposed to consider the pinnacle of boxing. I think it closes that gap because a lot of boxing fans are like, oh, it's the sweet science, it's this, it's that. It's like, listen, MMA fighters can get in there, fuck somebody up.
You hear what your boy Chael Sonnen said about it?
Well, I haven't watched the newest Chael Sonnen today, but I will say that I started to, and it was something I was talking about Richie Santiago with, like Francis Ngannou. What I hear about Tyson Fury is he throws feints and gets people to react, and that's how he does it. It's like, dude, I got hit with 4-ounce MMA gloves by heavyweights. I'm not flinching at your feints. I'm not flinching when your movements and things like that. And I think that was a big because Francis just standing there stoned and stone face, just like whatever, come at me. So I don't know, it was an interesting fight.
Yeah. No, Chael flat out said boxing's not a sport.
Yeah.
It was like,
and he said he was sad about it.
Yeah. And that was kind of an interesting take that got to add on it. And it was like, I don't fully agree, but I can't recite exactly what his. So
he said, he goes, think about this.
Right off the top of my head.
He goes, 2 MMA guys have gone over and fought the 2 best that they have in boxing. Mm-hmm. And look how they did. And, with McGregor going over there, it's like, and he said, and I think Chael Sonnen said, he's like, take every top level wrestler, because Chael Sonnen's a wrestler. He's like, Gable Stevens, whoever you got to say, whoever the hell it is. He's like, you give them a civilian who's only been doing it for a few months or whatever. He's like, there's no one walking in, even competing with our guys. You know what I mean? So he's just like, it just kind of made him not really believe that boxing was a sport, which is, I don't know if I'd go that far, but.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I go that far, but it definitely, it was pretty interesting to see the result of another MMA fella going over to boxing and, I'm not getting the win, but at least fair and well, making it tight of a fight. McGregor wasn't even close against Mayweather. That's kind of the reason I didn't get this fight. Was the last time I did get one of those fights, I told myself I'm never doing this to myself again. And it sounds like this was actually way more competitive of a fight and probably more bang for the buck, even though I did hear that the event did drag on a little bit, but whatever. It was glad they both made money and ended in a controversial decision that I'd probably have a little bit more of a headache than I would want anyways.
Yeah.
Had I seen it. So yeah, I'm a strict MMA guy. I love the sport of boxing. I do think it's a sport still. I do respect it. But yeah, I'd rather watch 2 of the best boxers going at each other than any of these weird fights. But Francis did that well. But then I hear what Cyril said. Francis won all but two rounds. So, I mean, I feel like that kind of bias could play into a factor if people are thinking that Francis got robbed. It all depends on how many punches he actually landed.
Well, if you look at the punch that they kind of like landed identical. Like it wasn't no landslide punch stat numbers if somebody else has them, but they were almost identical. They landed almost identical punches. You know, it was I don't know, whatever. I mean, I thought it was interesting match. There was a lot of hype around it. Most of the time, people are like, I got a couple texts like, "Oh, can you believe the production?" And it's just like, dude, they're just playing with crazy oil, Saudi Arabian money over there. They like, you know, I think Abu Dhabi Chael brought it up before. He's like, some prince just wanted to have a tournament because he liked the sport and he started the Abu Dhabi grappling tournaments and shit. So it's like money is just a lot different over there. Like the ring came out of the ground, so like it was like it raised up through the ground.
They're doing a boxing
at
the Sultan's backyard. Like they're not playing around over there.
Yeah,
it's totally different level. Was it Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, Abu Dhabi. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he, Chevy said he likes that he worked from Africa in the mines as a kid and hope he does great. Yeah, listen, man, I'm not taking anything away from Francis Ngannou. I think the fact that he actually got out there and did it, was kind of a screw you to the UFC. It was like, no, man, you're not doing this. And he did it. So like, hats off to him. It'll be intriguing to know where he goes from here because, was that Tyson Fury thing a big payday? And now there's Deontay Wilder talks and other heavyweights that he could be fighting because that, he went the distance with the heavyweight champ of the world. Like, let's flip that back though. Like,
but wasn't it just like?
Do you think anybody from any other sport could come into MMA and go the distance with the champ?
No, James Toney tried. It was it's totally different. Totally different. Not even close. Not even close. You're taking away so many elements and only focusing on.
Let me ask you a question. All good jiu-jitsu.
Element of it.
Do you think that somebody can walk into the jiu-jitsu world and go with a world champion?
No, then that's proven. How many we both have rolled? If you've never grappled before and you go up against a decent blue belt, you have no chance. That just is what it is. If you've never actually grappled before, you don't understand the language. That'd be like a toddler trying to hold a conversation with a college professor. It's not going to work. The professor's going to be amused by every noise that comes out of the toddler's mouth, just like anybody who's grappled before is going to be amused at any grappling illiterate person attempt to scramble with them. It's not going to.
Got two interesting takes here. For somebody to come in and have a chance, they'd have to have a major handicap, like 50 pounds heavier or something.
At the very.
If he's talking grappling, maybe I don't even know.
At the very, very least, but it's nobody. Someone who's never grappled before versus somebody who's put the time in. It's not going to be close.
And then here, Willie. This is an interesting take by Willie. He said LeBron James would kill John Jones.
Yeah, no.
I don't know about that, Willie.
No.
Willie, I like you, my man. I don't know about that take.
LeBron James, yeah. LeBron's what, 6'6", 250.
LeBron James is a big boy.
He's a big boy.
Somebody throw his stats in there. He's a big boy, but
Shaq, all right.
Shaq's not fucking up John Jones.
Shaq's way bigger than LeBron. Shaq's 7'2", 500 pounds. But
oh man, he's crying. So maybe he was fucking with us.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look up LeBron James stats.
Yeah, no, LeBron James is not a literal giant.
LeBron
6'9", yeah, he's
6'9".
Pretty big.
Pretty fucking big.
But
I don't think he's beating up. Oh, good. He said he kids.
All
right, he kids. He kids. All right, good. Because I was to say, LeBron James. I mean, he's an athlete. Now
I've seen him cry when he gets his wrist slapped.
I mean, now LeBron James, if he trained in MMA for the length of time that John Jones, because that's an interesting thing that I think that
he's a freak athlete, and if he puts the time in to do it.
Think about if MMA had the same amount of money as basketball, NFL, some of the other major sports.
The Sultan built the ring that comes out of the ground.
So if they had that money that was in there, some of these big freak athletes who pursued NFL or basketball or those sports because that's where the money was, if there was equal money in the NFL, in MMA, imagine what some of those guys would look like. Like some of these NFL running backs, if they were MMA fighters, Like they already have the athleticism, the builds. Like I bet if they put that time in.
Well, you've seen it. There's been some NFL players that have transitioned. I think you got to start training at a certain age. Like I said, it's kind of like a language you got to learn how to speak. There's a big difference between a Greg Hardy fella coming in and Habib coming in, who's been wrestling since he was 6 years old, wrestling bears since he was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And it's just that he's got that. There's a reason he was so dominant in it, where you take a freak athlete like a Greg Hardy or somebody else who played in the NFL. Yeah, they're going to have some success. They're going to
Greg Hardy said Ray Lewis versus Yoel Romero. That means maybe some monsters.
He's coming up with some
That's a good one, Willie. I like that take. I mean, I don't think Ray would be able to win, but like if Ray put his efforts that he did in the football field into MMA, he'd kill. Yeah, you quite literally. Running backs with wrestling technique, Chevy, good take. NFL players are extremely athletic, absolutely. Like, yeah, so it'd be interesting.
And
how the hell we went down this road, but whatever.
We're conversationalists. That's how it goes. But yeah, no, it's
Urlacher. He's Chevy Urlacher.
There were some mean dudes back in the day in the NFL, but I still think Coyce Gracie's going to armbar him. If they get into a bar fight, I still think that 180-pound Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt's going to be able to mitigate any damage that gets taken and find a way to choke someone unconscious. It's unless you have that grappling pedigree, that grappling background. I think that you gotta put the time in for it. Just kind of like the argument that Chael Sonnen made about the boxer versus the wrestlers or the MMA guys, and juxtaposing the level of athleticism it requires for both of them. And if you throw somebody who's green in the game of purely boxing, you're taking away so many elements and only having to focus on two that you're going to be using anyways. You can adapt to that sport much more than you've only been focusing on these two elements for the entirety of your career. Now you have to add all of the rest of the elements: cage wrestling, wall work, open mat sprawling, being able to get up, a technical get up, hitting your feet in play to be able to kick someone off, to be able to wall walk back up to your feet, to be able to check a kick, to be able to feint a kick, to be able to set a kick up of your own. There's just so many different elements that gets added in that it's incomparable, the amount of learning that you'd have to do flipping the roles.
I don't know, man. My mind's like wandering in a million different directions because, like, again, how we get on this conversation. But think about it this way: like, you know, there's random YouTubers and stuff like that training hard for 4 years. Jake Paul. Somebody posted like him 4 years ago hitting mitts to hear him hitting today. Granted, you know, people shit on him that he's only fought some bums or scrubs or like former MMA fighters, shit like that. But it's like this guy put 4 years in and he's competing at a decent level. You know, you look at guys who left the NFL and came and trained in MMA or whatever, and they're doing all right. It's like, do you think somebody like Brock Lesnar is the only one that like off the rip just walked onto an NFL field and he barely made, like, I don't know, man. It's just like there's so much. I don't know where I'm going with it, but it's just the amount of skill level that it takes. Like those guys have been training their entire lives. Now we're looking at like boxing. Like somebody could just walk in after training 3 years. Like, could you train for 3 years and walk on an NFL team?
That was Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder only trained a couple of years before he was an Olympian.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. He kind of rolled off the street.
Yeah. Well, no, that might be making my point. Like, there's no one really rolling in, walking off the street, training for 3 years, and then going to go make an NFL team.
No.
Or an NBA team.
You've been scouted as a high school athlete to go play for college, and then getting
Dan
to that program and rolled up.
By far, MMA is the hardest sport to be great in. There isn't any plays off. Also, the amount of things you need to be well-rounded is unmatched compared to other sports. But I don't mind that take. And trust me, I'm an MMA fan. But there's guys who could walk in off the street, train MMA for 3 years, and compete it could make their way up and go pretty high level. There's not many people that can do the opposite when you talk about NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL. Like there's no, rags to riches story of somebody like, oh yeah, I picked up a football the other day and just figured I'm going to train for the next 3 years and make an NFL team as a running back or a quarterback. And they do it. You hear that often in boxing, or you might even hear a little bit less than boxing in MMA, but you can still hear that.
Well, I think that you also have to immerse yourself in the strategic developments of whatever sport that you're in game. Everybody can be an armchair quarterback.
I mean, look at somebody just mentioned rugby.
Monday morning quarterback. Everybody that watches the Patriots can all sit there and talk about what Belichick's doing wrong and what Mac Jones is doing wrong. But honestly, nobody's got the wherewithal to understand the game at that caliber that those guys do because they're so immersed in it. Whereas I think it's a little different in fighting where you can go, if you're tough, if you're not afraid of getting hit, well, and you're coachable and you got some athleticism, you can go in with a team and kind of
so I kind of see where you're going.
Fight, whereas
you're by yourself.
If you're by yourself, it's a solo sport. You can learn on the.
All right, so let's go to a non-solo sport.
If you're going into hockey, like I can't roll off, and at first I got to learn how to skate.
All right, well let's go to a solo sport. You think somebody's picking up a tennis racket and going to compete at Wimbledon after 3 years of training in tennis?
I know a lot of people that do all right with a set of golf clubs.
You think people are going to start competing next to Tiger Woods, Jack, like all those guys, and just going to step onto a PGA
tour? No, but
tour?
there have been amateurs that have done pretty well at golf. I think, if I'm not mistaken, my dad's a golf historian. He knows all that shit. Where he'd be able to tell you which guy rolled off the couch as an amateur and hung with the Masters. So yeah, I think that you could
for a round.
Yeah, like I think you could. It's not like Greg Hardy was a world champion. He wasn't Habib. He wasn't GSP. He wasn't John Jones, who has wrestled since day one and really immersed themselves. You look at who the real dominant champs are. They're people that were doing MMA, just like Tom Brady was throwing a football when he was 6 years old.
Volk?
He was
a rugby player. People talking about rugby.
Rugby player.
Jay Smallish to Flesh says you feel like NBA is the most difficult because even if you're the best athlete in the world, it doesn't matter unless you're 6 foot plus.
So that's genetics, not athletics. At that point, that has nothing to do with
lucky size.
Yeah, lucky size. Some are gifted, some are not, and that's, if anything, completely negating that argument. If it's based on genetics more than it is athletics, then no, it's not the most athletic sport. It's the most genetically gifted sport, but not athletically gifted sport. Sure, there's a cardiovascular element to it, and you got to be quick and agile and know how to dribble the ball. And I love basketball too. I loved basketball back in the day. Now I'm only watch fights. I used to be big into all the sports. Like I actually watched the Patriots this Saturday, this Sunday.
Sucked.
Yeah, they did. But I used to watch football pretty religiously. I used to love sitting on my ass all day Sunday, but now the fights are on every weekend, and I had to give football up. And it's kind of been nice not sitting and watching all the sports. But yeah, I don't think that you get in a world champion level fighter unless they immerse themselves like these super athletes that play basketball from the time that Michael Jordan's the GOAT because he got rejected from so many teams until he didn't get rejected onto his college team, throwing salt in his shoes, whatever the myth is. But
I think
sleep, and breathe.
I think that Chael, which got us on this topic.
Again,
a couple people asking us to come back to the fighters, but I think the part that got us on this topic is like it's interesting. Like Chael's point is like you see guys that don't compete in boxing and just stepping in there now and hanging with the best. We're not talking that Francis Ngannou didn't fight some like middle entry level heavyweight in his debut. He went in there with Tyson Fury, who was undefeated, the best one out. Conor McGregor went in there with Floyd Mayweather, the best, 50-0, whatever the hell. It's like, and there's just no other sport. Like, you're not going to walk on a basketball court tomorrow after training for 6 months and gonna play one-on-one with LeBron or MJ or Kobe or hang with those guys. Like you just not. It's impossible. And what the veil was kind of taken down on the sport of boxing, I think, was Chael's point. Yeah. Was like, they're like, oh, you could never box. It's a sweet science. We've been doing this since we're kids. It's like, well, then how come these guys who have been doing it for 2 years are hanging with your best? Is it really that difficult to box? By all means, I think Willie was a boxer, and I'm because I have high, I think highly of Willie. He helped me when I was fighting, but I think that's kind of like where they're going with this whole thing. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, these guys, you've been training since you were a kid, and a guy who can only been training for the last 2 years is catched up to you. Like, what does that say about it?
Yeah. Well, it happens. It happens. No country for old men. You're gonna get old at some point, and the next generation is gonna come up, regardless. But yeah, in terms of the sport, just in general, yeah, boxing's such a huge element of MMA, and there are so many elements of MMA that are just completely disregarded in boxing. That's what makes it so.
Maybe the real takeaway is not, Chael, that boxing is not a real sport. That MMA is just such an elite sport because, as we say this, and we're going to wrap it up and we're going to go to fights in a minute, but like, as we think about it, take an MMA fighter, put him in the boxing world, he could probably hang with a boxer. Though that's not his discipline, he could probably hang with a boxer. Throw him on a wrestling mat. He could probably be competent on the wrestling mat. Throw him in a jiu-jitsu tournament. Though he's not a black belt and only does gi jiu-jitsu, he could probably go and hang in a jiu-jitsu tournament. Maybe you're good at them all. And though you might not beat the best of the best in each one of those disciplines, you can hang, which the same couldn't be said if you flip the roles. I think maybe that's where it's going.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. That sums it up.
Yeah. Anywho. All right, here we go. Let's get caught up and talk fights.
What fight?
Boxing. Chevy's bringing it back. Boxing's like WWF. It's all staged. That's why I love it. Why it's interesting. Willie, what we were talking about is why he thinks it's interesting.
What is with Searle today?
What did he say?
Nothing. He's just.
So he threw a lucky shot and I can touch down. And then in the 8th, out clinched Tyson, which is illegal in boxing. Oh, come on, dude. Tyson threw an illegal elbow at him, which no one talks about. He tried the whole fake punch and he went like this, threw an elbow. And Tyson was the one that was engaged in the clinch. He would do this 1-2 step forward. And as he was trying to punch with the right, he was grabbing him. Yeah, come on, get out of here. Get out of here, Zach. You just lost me. I was putting your comments up today, but you just went to the bottom of the barrel and you're not getting put up anymore. Anywho,
Zach.
There we go. Nice. So, anywho, what else do we have this week? Do we have anything else this weekend?
Nah, man. There was
no one.
It's the calm before the storm.
Was there UFC this weekend?
There wasn't a UFC this weekend. It was at least I don't think so. I completely missed it. But no, there was nothing going on this weekend. Just the calm before the storm before Cage Titans, and I kind of like that. I kind of like just relax. And
is there a UFC card this weekend? Oh, the Black Beast is fighting this weekend. I don't even know who he's fighting, though, to be quite honest.
Oh, he's fighting Jailton Almeida, the Brazilian, the undefeated. I think he's undefeated at least.
Yeah.
Submission artist who's been catching everybody. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Black Beast.
Yeah.
I like it anytime he steps in there. So I know he's been kind of up and down lately, but he's coming off that big, really quick knockout win that he had. So hoping he keeps escalating the knockout record with the hot balls and all.
Actually, you know what came out this weekend? That the whole was that this week? John Jones fight get scrapped?
He got scrapped. That's
and now it's going to be an interim Aspinall.
Sergey Pavlovich versus
Tom Aspinall.
Really? Aspinall?
Yeah.
No shit.
For the interim title.
Hey.
They just took Stipe completely out of the equation. Like, nah. Sorry. Yeah, I know. Weird, isn't it?
I mean, Stipe's probably saying, thanks. I don't want to fight Sergey Pavlovich. Just give me a ghost
Dana said, why we didn't even offer it to him because why we want to break up the Jones fight, which Jones is going to be out for 8 months. And then Stipe was like, dude, I wasn't even like asked. Like, maybe I would have took it. Like, they just kind of just totally wrote him out.
So now Stipe don't get paid.
Doesn't get nothing.
Guys
Yeah, crazy, huh?
That is kind of weird. It is a little strange how they approach that. Now I'm thinking about it.
There's like, sorry, we're not going to do Stipe versus Jones. We're just going to bring a whole other fight in.
Don't want to jeopardize that fight by feeding Stipe to this Russian who sleeps everybody in a minute. That guy's a destroyer.
Yeah.
He's a destroyer.
But how do you like not And poor Stipe just like, what about me, guys?
I'm kind of glad Stipe's not fighting him. I want to see Stipe versus Jones. I don't think Jones is going to hit Stipe as hard as Pavlovich, but Pavlovich is a very, very scary, dense Russian. Like that is potentially the baddest dude on the planet.
Aspinall's not bad though.
Aspinall, that's the British guy. Yeah, he's the Brit.
Yeah.
Aspinall. Yeah, he's certainly got all the chops as well. I just there's something about Sergey. He's just got that weird freak power and doesn't really have too much telegraph behind his hands. That guy's been the sleeper of the division for a couple of years at this point now. So
crushing it.
Yeah, we got a Brit versus a Russian. I don't really have a dog in that fight. I could care less.
Yeah,
how it goes.
And then who's in the co-main
definitely
event?
Team Stipe.
You were
versus
Stipe?
Jones, and I'm
All
Team
right.
Stipe versus either of those guys. But I think Stipe matches way better against Aspinall. I think Stipe could beat Pavlovich, but Pavlovich is a guy that could sleep him just like Ngannou did, and I don't want that to happen to Stipe this late in his career.
Well, they said how much more would Stipe get paid to fight Jones than someone else? That's an interesting question. You would have to think that he's on contract. So usually, sign a 3-fight deal, 4-fight deal, 5-fight deal. Like he's not the champ, so he's under contract for whatever it is. So like maybe he's thinking that if he gets pay-per-view points, but usually only the champ gets pay-per-view points. So that's one way that he might get more money if he's, I don't know. That's an interesting question, but I'm not sure. Yes, we know that Hillary Rose fought on Invicta this weekend. Yes, thank you, Zach, for the comments. And we know Fernanda Arulia, who's also from Massachusetts, fought on Invicta this weekend in Boston. They came to the House of Blues. Thank you, Zach. Yep. I didn't know anybody else on the card. It's not that I don't like women's fighting. We have a great women's fight on this card, Erica Medina and Daniela Kula, that I'm much more excited for than that Invicta card because I didn't know anybody fighting. I'll be honest.
Didn't they ask to borrow your cage?
They did ask to rent my cage too. So there you go. That's another story for another day. Anyway.
Why not? We're telling stories today.
No. Hey, it's all right. It's all good. We didn't rent them the cage. We did not. Yeah. Anywho, well, I'm excited for the ladies. Thank you, Chevy, bringing us back to point. They are savages.
I don't know why you read Cyril's comment. I was just pointing out. He said some up funny shit the last couple of days.
I told you we've done with Zach Cyril.
I know, but he's still typing up. And he does have some funny shit every now and then.
Yeah. He does come up some good stuff.
As long as you don't put the link in to have him call in.
Are you dressing up for Halloween?
No.
Gave those days up?
Those days are done, yeah. I think those days are done. I'm less festive now. I didn't get a costume.
No.
I'm still on the work from home vibe on it. So there's nothing going on. I'm old, fragile.
Old and fragile.
I go to bed before 11 now. It's done. Days are done.
Well, guys, we didn't have many guests for this week, so that's kind of why we're just kind of filling some airtime. We didn't have any guests. Yeah. I said many, but I meant any guests. Anyways, but yeah, so I mean, we could run down the card. We did that last week. We're gonna run it down next week. If anybody has a particular fight that they want us to talk about and they want to bring up in the comments, we can give some thoughts and share some thoughts. Anybody wants to ask about other fighters besides Zach Cyril, we'll read your comments and put them up. Zach Cyril, not so much. We got about
hard in the face.
Here we go, the party, man. Mitch versus Cleveland. You know what? Hold on. I'm going to send a little message. I want the party to come on.
You're gonna.
I'm going to invite the party
Out of the blue.
Let's see if the party.
I don't think he'll deny.
I'm going to see if the party can get on here.
Give us a little insight on.
And I want to, let's maybe he's at the gym with Cleveland.
It could be.
So let's see. Penafiel. And I'm going to send it to you. So Joe, check your messenger. I'm not going to post it in the comments because I know that Zach would probably call in immediately, but party, I sent you the link. If you can call on in. I'd love to hear some input.
Don't send it to Zach.
Don't send it to Zach. We'd love to hear your input because I know that Cleveland is one of your teammates. But what do you think about this fight? You've been doing some homework, watching the videos.
Yeah, Cleveland's got a lot of finishes. I like the story that he's in. It's kind of the theme of the later parts of the night where Cleveland's coming off a couple losses. Pat Casey's coming off a loss, but they're getting this opportunity to fight the true. Like
It's such an opportunity for him to come up in the backyard of his opponent who has
La Fiesta
so much
call.
momentum.
We don't need you to talk about it. We got the Fiesta.
Here we go. What do we got to know about Cleveland McClain? Joe the Party Penafiel. What's going on, party?
We're here, bro, at the new job. Over here. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's beautiful down here in Florida. We're about to enjoy some of the cold weather that we've been waiting for all year. But I think the Cleveland McClain versus Mitch Raposo fight is probably the most. I think one of the guys can get a shot to the next level, maybe if the right cards played through or whatever. And I'm really excited for Cleveland to get some respect on his name and stuff like that. He's been fighting for a long time, and I think Mitch Raposo is the right opponent. Mitch is a very talented guy from what I see, with a really tough team, and everyone knows him from The Ultimate Fighter, and he's a wrestler, good cardio. I think he fell in love a little bit with his hands, I guess, because of the boxing, from what I've seen, especially with the last knockout he had for Cage Titans. But I think if he tries to, if it ends up being Cleveland's night, I'll tell you guys this: it's gonna be disgusting. He's one of the guys that I've been training with for a long time in Florida, and he's definitely one of the better strikers and better grapplers I've been around. But yeah, and I really do think Mitch is gonna bring out the best of him, and if not, Cleveland's gonna bring out the best in Mitch, and may the best man win.
Yeah, I think that is a great synopsis of it. Cleveland McClain having 30 professional fights already under his belt, and like you said, is well-rounded and decorated in all facets of MMA as one can get, and it's a huge test. I think the most decorated fighter that Mitch has fought, and they both have the skill set and the acumen to bring the absolute best out of each other, and that's why we're so excited to have it topped off on top. Are you going to be coming up and supporting? But you're going to be fighting the day before down in Mississippi, brother. Bare knuckle again for game bread.
Yeah, you know what? Ever since Cage Titans has put a light and highlighted my some of my past accomplishments over there in New England, it's really given me a lot of life down here in Florida, and nationally. Jorge picked me up on the last minute, like 2 weeks notice fight, like a year or two ago or something, and then I ended up winning that one. Picked up a couple fights with broken hands for him last minute that Mike actually helped out a lot with, and helped me out with some things. But ultimately, I'm really happy fighting for Jorge. Jorge's a hell of a promoter and a hell of a person. And when you get to sit down and talk to him, he's really cool, and he cares about the fighters, and he cares about the families, just like Cage Titans. It's always the fighters first. And that's the beautiful thing about MMA. I think there's a big community out there, and Bare Knuckle MMA, we're trying to bring the most violent show on earth globally into your home, through YouTube or however you guys can watch it. But like I said, Cage Titans is always going to be in my heart. I'm always going to want to come back to New England. I love New England. I love everything about Plymouth. I love the dispensaries out there. I love the beer, the chowder. I'm always gonna, but I got New England guys coming down all the time. We didn't sign him or anything, but Ty, I think his name is Tyrone De Silva.
Oh yeah.
So Ty's been down there for at least a few months. He relocated. I think he originally is from Kissimmee, and which is funny, when he came down the first day, he was like, we saw each other face to face, and I was like, I've seen this face before, like in New England or something. And I'm like, and he said, hey, I helped John with the last fight not too long ago. I'm like, hey. So it's cool, man. I love, like I said, I love being, I don't know, I love having that New England moniker or whatever on me, and I love to represent New England and Florida and myself as well, And I'm always gonna have a special love for Cage Titans, and every show you guys put on is always amazing. I can't wait to watch the rest of the fights, like the Jerry Muse guy that always comes out crazy versus the mom guy, what's his name, Aaron or whatever, the guy that always wants to bang moms or whatever. I think he's cool. I love all those guys up there, man. A lot of good talent up there.
So I official prediction: Cleveland's taking the flyweight title home down to Florida.
I said Cleveland's gonna take it before 3 rounds,
Okay.
but we'll see. If not, he'll win. But I know he's gonna hurt him. He's gonna win, and he's gonna hurt him. I think that's my biggest prediction. I don't know how much they're gonna grapple. You know, a lot of these guys end up standing up the whole time, but I feel like they're gonna fight, and it's gonna be dope. And I feel like Cleveland's gonna hurt him with something. I don't know what, but some shit.
So on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to party, how party like is he? Or is he more like subdue and low key? Or is he a big personality like yourself?
I think I've been friends with him forever. I've actually worked with him a bunch of times. Cleveland's a cool guy, but he's not like a loud, brash guy. Only when you get to know him, he'll let his personality go. He's more of a subtle, mellow, cool type of dude. He's like a real player. So he's a cool. He's like a smooth North Carolina type of dude. You know, he's a real kind guy, but he's really about his business, and he can really hurt people.
All right, man. Well, Party, thanks for taking time out of your work day. We wish you all the best. We'll be watching November 10th when you take on Brandon Royale, right?
Brandon Davis.
Close.
Yeah.
He fought Randy Costa before.
Which is crazy. Yeah. And Randy Costa is going to be on the show, too, on the bare knuckle. He's fighting Jason Knight.
Yeah.
So
I remember, so it's going to be a great card. They have a stacked card down that Game Bread. I remember Randy Costa fought Brandon Davis. In Atlanta, we took a Cage Titans road trip, and we rented vans, and we went down with a couple fighters and people, and we all went down to watch that fight live in Atlanta.
That's dope. I like Randy's style, so I want to see what he could do against Jason's tough and rugged type of action that he brings to the fight. So it's going to be an awesome event. Like I said, I always see Maddie, Levine, and Ross, and I'm good friends with them, and they're always pleasant. I always have love for New England, like I said, but I can't wait for your card and my card to go simultaneously on, because I hope to be done first and fast, and then I'll watch Cleveland on the stream. So,
all right, brother. Well, have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon.
Later, Party.
All right. I think he already left. Boom. The party, the fiesta. It's always chill because, like, everybody, he was like a guy that wasn't from here, and he was so booed and everything when he first started like coming, and then everybody loves him. I get people ask me all the time, like, "Oh, when's the party coming back?" And I'm like, "Listen, he's getting that bag down at Game Bread. He's getting that Jorge Masvidal Miami money. He's like, he's cashing those checks. So when he's ready to come back, he'll come back, and he always has a home here. So it's always good to see him, and and he has a teammate killer coming up here, and I'm sure he's shared some of the experiences and helping Cleveland get ready.
And Fusion XL has historically done really well at Cage Titans. I don't think I can't remember the last time that they've suffered a loss up here with one of their fighters. It's been quite a bit.
I think they're undefeated at Cage Titans. Because I mean, they had Mario.
Diego.
Oh, Diego lost the decision. Yep. And then they had, was that the, okay, because I know he was at another gym in Brazil when he came up, but I wasn't sure if he was at both. But either way.
Magrino lost to Perrin, but
Ariana,
Mario.
So there we go.
They all won that time up that they came up with Penafiel, who hasn't lost yet. So
Phil Grenier, the red, white, and blue for Veterans Day. Mm-hmm. Also, quick shout out before we wrap it up. We're coming up on our hour. If anybody has any veterans groups or anything that they're part about, or former military that they want to share, we plan on doing some recognition before each fight on November 11th. So it's great to recognize some veterans that might be tied to our community. So if anybody who watches the show or anybody that knows anybody that watches the show comes to the fights, we'd love to, have them get in contact with me, because we'd like to do some recognition in between each fight. We're already working a couple veteran groups to do this. So definitely let me know. It's Veterans Day. It's a big day, and we want to make sure. Also, any fighters, I know a good majority of you that are veterans, but if you are a veteran, and even if you think I already know, just shoot me a message, because we're also going to do something with the fighters. What I'd love to do is get a military picture of you, and then we're going to kind of put something together with the military fighter veterans that have fought for us. And so there. Yeah. So if you got anything like that, we'd love, please help us out. If super fans like Zach know of the fighters who are veterans, just throw them my way. We'd love to kind of get some pictures of them when they were in the military, kind of pair it with some pictures of them fighting or some video and do something nice, because it is Veterans Day. We're at Memorial Hall. It's just really, important to tie into it. So that's all I got for today. It was cool to have the party, Colin.
Yeah, that it was.
We teammates at Cleveland. I think this fight's gonna be crazy.
No, it's such a great main event.
Because Mitch, like he said in the opener, he's like, I'm telling the UFC to stop fucking overlooking me.
This would be huge for him as well. He's riding a 3-fight finish streak right now, really piecing together some clean first-round finishes over some tough dudes. Last time we saw him at Cage Titans, he just in and out, quick work of Tyler Smythe, and jumping into fight this title fight right here. It'd be undeniable 10 fights into his career if he pieces together and
he's still young.
He's still so young in this, and he's improving fight after fight.
How old
Looking
is
looking
he?
faster. He's going to be 23, 24, something like that. I don't think he's 25 yet.
Let me see where he is. About graduated high school in 2015, so that's 18 plus 8 years. So he's actually 26. I mean, still fucking super young. So crazy when I see these guys, because I remember like when he was like a teenager, like training and like a little kid, and it's like, fuck, you're 26 now. Other guys, and I'm like, you're 32 now. I'm like, Jesus, I remember when you were 17, 18 years old.
So I started in my early 20s when I started commentating for you.
Time flies, man. Time flies.
Getting old. Nobody gets young.
Nah.
I'll tell you that. Nobody gets young. It's crazy.
Father Time is undefeated. As Chael started.
Neither's Mother Nature, but that's last show we did 17 fights, and I was like, that's about the tail end limit that we got. It'd be nice to have another 12 fight card or whatnot. No, here we got 17 again, and as exhausted as I already am, I am so stoked for it, from the opening grappling super fight all the way to that McLean Raposo headline and fight. They're all fantastic matchups. There's no place I would rather be on fight night than cage side, sitting and calling the action. It is my favorite spot. I love the blood spatter. I love the action. I love it. It's all crazy. I love the crowd. Miss it all already. It's only been a month and a half. We're not even at that 2 month part out, but 2 weeks.
Yep.
Can't wait to close out the year strong with this incredible fight card at Cage Titans 62.
That's it. Go get your tickets early and often.
Get them before the fighters start cutting weight next week.
Yeah, so a lot of fighters I see, they're kind of implementing where they're saying, listen, this week's the last week, because they don't want to be running around fight week. So do yourself a favor, hit up your favorite fighter this week, get your tickets for the show. If you can't meet up with your favorite fighter, you can always go online. Next week, the tickets will be online as well. But shows almost always sell out. Last show, we had a lot of people standing outside waiting to look and, waiting to get in because they couldn't have tickets. So don't miss out. Get your tickets early. Cage Titans 62, 17 fights on tap for your pleasure. And
if you can't make it in person, check it out on Spectation Sports. It's the only other way that you can do it, the exclusive streaming platform for Cage Titans.
Yeah.
But it's just about fight week. This time next week, we're going to be on fight week, getting ready for the presser, getting ready for the weigh-ins.
As Rob Pico knows, selling tickets is tough work. This guy sold 29 front row tickets and 4 mezzanine. He's not even a fighter. Chevy pickup. You might need to hit up Rob Pico. He put a big order in for front row tickets. I think he got the last of them. So he has a group that sometimes you can probably hit him up. You might be able to jump into his group. So Zach, I'm not taking the bait on your comments. You can tell me after. But there you go. Cage Titans social media, all across all social media. Make sure you stay up to date on the fights. CageTitansFC.com for more information and for tickets. And what else you got, Andy? Anything else?
We're doing good, keeping this to an hour. Not too
We're
bad.
doing a good job.
Not too bad.
9:05 too.
Next week, we'll get all the fights broken down one more time for all of you. Maybe Justin Simmons will be in here for his pastrami picks. We'll see how that goes. So, hey, thank you as always for tuning in. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, and we'll see you next week as well.
Couple weeks.
Cheers.
Cheers.